months, 3 years later, before we get into the, some of the things that were promised and what is happening?
Well, you can't claim that he hasn't done anything.
Yeah, true.
I think I can give him 3 out of 10 so far, because much of what the government has done was too much talking, politicking. So the delivery was actually hindered as a result of the unfortunate talks that have not been meaningful to Kenyans. Because if you realize that since, I think, February 2024, to date, it's about one character, one man who bears only one vote, by the name Rigathi Gachagua. He's the one who's...
The entire conversation in the country has been about
they say
one man.
It's been against Rigathi Gachagua. While he was the deputy president, and after impeachment, until today, and until last night, it's all about Rigathi Gachagua. The last speeches they made is still Rigathi Gachagua. It has actually hindered the delivery. Because the many promises they had, now it has allowed the crooked leaders or representatives of the people who are holding our CDF, NGCDF money to spend it with politics or in politics, because they are not held accountable, and they're trying as much to remain friends of the government so that that area is covered and of accountability. So they continue singing the praises at the expense of
development,
at the expense of not really delivering to the people, but with them they actually do it in the guise of development. But it's not really development, because much of what is supposed to be spent of the 147 million shillings, and I think it's 180 million shillings, because there was some 30 million that was added onto their normal NGCDF for the IT program that was to come in. That money is still there, but how many centers have you seen? The only thing they can do is facilitate activists, musicians, artists, and all these kind of things, and themselves, so that they can be able to, trot the country, from border to border, campaigning, insulting one man. And that's what I'm saying. I think
he has become like the center of gravity.
Yeah.
Everything revolves
revolving around him.
He's become another Raila Odinga. If you can remember, in the previous periods when nothing would happen, even today, everything was about Raila Odinga. You would have the president talking about Raila Odinga, and he's in the opposition. And so everything was right. So he became an enigma, bigger than life.
That's why you're seeing much of what is happening. The decline, even in the GDP. We are now at 4.8 from 7 point something. Now we're dropping because there's no impact down there. We may have every details on records in terms of statistics and figures, but in terms of translating into money, cash, wealth to the common Kenyan is not really making any sense.
The growth is 4 point something. They say it's growing, and give it to him. When he took over, I think the dollar just went absolutely bananas. Versus the Kenya shillings. It's now stabilized. When he took over, the price of unga was ridiculously high. It got even to 200.
200, yeah.
It's now gone back. It's now 150.
No, it's around
170
now.
Yes.
Still going up.
Milk, cooking oil. I mean, the cost, inflation has gone down. Give it to him. That has worked. But now the challenge is getting that money into the pocket of your ordinary mwananchi.
You see, until the impeachment debate and post-impeachment debates took over, things began again to escalate to where they were You know, because right now you're talking about some of the of whatever flour is not there. We are just using it to gauge that it had dropped to as low as a packet at 89 shillings, 100 shillings, 115. All of a sudden, today we're talking about 170, 180, 180. Others have gone back to 200. You know, some brands like 2, which I know. So when you're looking at these things, we know that something is not working right. If you talk about the promises that we had, construction of stadiums and everything, even the ones which we knew that were supposed to be ready by now, seeing the kind of pace that the former CS, Ababu Namwamba, had given to this, and seriousness he had given to this, renovation of the stadiums and construction of the Talanta thing. These are things that would have happened. And at the county level, they're still grappling with, limited resources coming from the government. So you wouldn't expect much development when much of what is given to the counties is actually ending up in the recurrent budget. So when it comes to development, it is actually shortchanged. And the government, you've had county governors complaining that they're not even getting enough of whatever cut they're supposed to get, during a certain period of time, I think quarterly. So whatever they're supposed to get, they don't get it. Neither is whatever they have proposed in the annual budget proposals really, adhered to. So what you're saying is that the person who is left suffering is the Kenyan. When they have the capitation money that was really meant well for the good of the parents, is not getting to schools, indirectly, some burdens begin to be shifted to the parents.
Yes. And actually, as you're talking, there is talks that parents will now start paying examination fees for their children.
That is already taken off, because now parents are going to pay for such. I have also seen some government schools which had already obtained school buses, selling them so that they can be able at least to expand some classrooms. And this is just to tap some more resources, for themselves. And so that at least they can be able to have some extra money to run the school. This is not the original plan of free primary education. And what we're seeing, and again with the transition from the old system 844 now to the CBC, which really was formless when they started it, and still carrying on with it while it was still formless. It's now maybe taking shape right now, but not quite, because I think they have not really allowed themselves to envisage every opinion that was given when they were consulting with the society and experts also on what they would wish to do with this new curriculum. It caught people off guard. So we as parents are also trying to catch up with it. Now you can imagine there's a lot of cost that goes with it, the feeding program. And you see, if the feeding program is coming from taxpayers, the assumption that any child in a private school, which is not a government school, must be wealthy. And I'm trying to see these private schools that could be somewhere in the slums, run by some individual, or maybe some NGO, which does not even have enough resources. And still, their parents are paying taxes one way or the other. But the government does not consider that these are also children of Kenya. And so when they talk about school feeding program, these are areas I would have expected by now we're actually considering, because we have seen a good idea.
It's also going to go down, because in the budget estimates that CS Mbadi is talking about, that's one of the things that
that's why we're complaining. That's why we're complaining that by now we should not be looking at it from a diminishing trend. We should be looking at it at an appreciating trend, where now the government has decided that even the parents of the children who are not directly schooling in government or public schools, as they benefit from the dish in the counties and whatever, and this free food that is, this affordable food that is being provided in schools. I think it should also be extended to parents even in private schools. Let the parents of the affluent who feel that they don't need it, say so. But even living among them, we have children who are schooling in private schools under certain sponsorship just for academics, but not really for day-to-day upkeep. Somebody may come and say, I want to give you a good foundation for education and no food. These are realities. These are real things that are happening. And if you don't include such a one, it's a torture, it's a torment. And what you're trying to say is that is on the other side. Capitation money is not even getting to the schools.
Yes.
Supply of textbooks, even to the public schools. And I can attest because I have kids in public schools. You discover that 6 months down the line is when they're receiving some of the textbooks.
6 months?
6 months down the line. It's now June. Yeah, you receive a new textbook now. That the school has now received some books from
and
the
you're
government.
Supposed to cover.
You were supposed to get it in January so that you can be able to flow. And these are the kind of things. We're trying to say that the systems ought to be put right, but you cannot put them right on the streets.
Now, the rubber meets the road when it comes to human rights.
Yeah.
Because I remember very vividly when the president took over and said, in my watch, during my watch, you will not have extrajudicial killings. You will not have, because during that time, there were talks that there were containers at certain police stations that had bodies of people. And he said, this will not happen during my term. Now, as late as yesterday morning, there's a young man called Meshach Ojwang, who was taken from Migori County by police officers, brought to Nairobi Central Police Station, and by 2 a.m., he was dead. There's another gentleman also who's been taken, is right now at Kamkunji Police Station. During this President William Ruto's 1,000 years, we have seen so many young people being taken out. Your thoughts on the same?
You know, when you say something, well, at the back of the mind, you don't mean what you say. It eventually comes out. I sat under one prominent preacher who taught me some wisdom. And he told me, you see, when you have the evil mind, evil mentality from hell, the devil always has a destructive mechanism. There's a way he will expose himself, expose his weakness, expose his plan, and all these things will be known, and they won't really see the light of the day. Eventually, when he promised that it won't happen during his tenure, he was criticizing the ones who were there. Because there were the issues of finding bodies in Yala and many other places, forests and the like. And yes, extrajudicial killing took place.
And forceful disappearances.
And forceful disappearances, and some of them to date have not been recovered, have not been reunited to their people, with their people. Similarly to what happened even after the Gen Z, massacre.
Yes.
What we are saying is that I think we need to get to a point where him leads the country. Let's talk about the leadership, not really the country, because the country is complaining, and do a retreat.
We do a what?
And they do a retreat.
Who, the leaders?
Yes, the leaders. Where they will go and ask themselves where the rain started beating them. Because they lost it at some point. And that's what I was telling you. Since the Ricky G story came around, they've been dealing with an individual, yet the individual stands on masses. Now, instead of dealing with the masses that are empowering him, they're dealing with an individual.
Yes.
Because
when you say it's the masses empowering Ricky G, what exactly?
What you're trying to say is that if you look at from where Ricky G has come from,
yes,
he came from Mount Kenya.
Yes.
He was presented to the country by the people of Mount Kenya. That's way back during campaigns.
Yes.
Okay? When he appointed him, he knew the qualities that he was looking for. So the people okayed and ratified his choice. Now, what I'm trying to say is that these people are the ones they are ignoring. And they're looking at the man presented to them. Because to them, they think that people today are like donkeys. You just push them to the direction you want. This is not the case, because these are people who have brains. These are people who are informed. These are people who are exposed and exposed to all details, even of political. So when you introduce, that archaic politics that were there before, long time ago, and you reintroduce them now, and you forget the generation you dealt with those days, is not the generation you're dealing with right now. Somebody is not getting it right, and somebody is blinded to the present.
If maybe I can take you back a little bit, and specifically on this case, the boldness of police officers to think that just because I've put up a message on X against the deputy IG, that they can come from Migori, they can come arrest somebody in Migori, bring him to Nairobi to kill him inside the cells. That boldness is mind-boggling.
And do a statement in another polling station with outside the jurisdiction of arrest. Now, when you see these things happening, that's why I'm telling you, there are people who are so powerful. Some people who are so empowered to do these things without question. Because there is that procedure. There's that procedure that they should follow. If somebody has been arrested, then where the police precinct, the precinct within which he has been arrested, should be notified, and all the procedure should be followed. Okay, and the rights of the person who's been accused must be spelled right and must be actually exercised correctly as per Article 49 and 50 of the Constitution. These are rights that are meant for this person. But you see, ensuring within 24 hours the guy is dead explains a lot. Giving a reason that is so egregious, that this person banged his head on the wall. And I'm trying to imagine banging my head on the wall until I lose my life. It doesn't make sense.
Isn't the stories a jabba?
We only had it once at some point where somebody shot his head, then reached out for the acid, he poured acid, then reached out for the matchbox, then lit himself. And he had his hands tied. I mean, these are the kind of reasons. And you're saying, today, please don't do that. Today, we don't want to hear such things.
Yeah, but what you're talking about is the
Robert Oko.
Robert Oko.
The JM Karaoke's death,
When they said that he shot himself, then poured petrol on himself, then set himself on fire, broke his own legs.
Took himself from his house, walked to Koru because his vehicles were in his compound. So when we hear these kind of things, it's not a laughing matter.
It's ridiculous.
It's ridiculous,
because there's a
but
life
irritatingly ridiculous.
It's
irritatingly ridiculous.
There's a life that has been lost, so that it's not just numbers. If you hear the father speaking, he says, "This is my only child." And this guy was in his 20s, and he's saying, if it's to get another child and bring him up to this, how it's, you can tell the pain from the father.
But I'll tell you something. God rules over all the affairs of men. And even this one does not escape his eye, and neither does it escape his wrath. They shall pay. Even if, and I'm not accusing the president, because he's the commander-in-chief of these forces, because if he would exercise his power and order some serious, some serious disciplinary measures as the commander-in-chief, they'll be implemented. And some of these things would come to an end. But you see, if the president is not really so keen on that, instead of the forces advising themselves to abrogate this kind of behavior, they will continue taking it further to the next step. It's just the same way. You could see goons walking behind the president's departure. He departs, goons take over. They take over for 1 hour. 1 hour, the nearest police station has no idea that there is some crime taking place.
They decided not to know.
Yes, amid the hue and cry and screams and everything. People are calling, they're on social media, and others are screaming. Literally, you can hear from within the vicinity, within your vicinity. And these things have been happening. You know?
Yes.
But the fact that nobody can ask them, that's why they issue threats. Tutakuja tukukute wewe, hata wewe tutakuta, tutakuharibia mkutano yako.
What is in this?
There is some form of impunity that is being nurtured. And this impunity, I think, is deliberate.
It is deliberate.
It's deliberate. It's deliberate. What I'm saying is that...
With what objective?
The 2027 elections should be marred. If we don't get it, then it should be marred. Itakuwa tu mbaya, tuikae tu hivi tu, ichafuke tu. So what I'm trying to say is that...
such an unfortunate vision for the country.
It's not right. And I'm not saying that this is what he could be planning, but other people could be planning or taking advantage of that lull to do what they want and make sure that their interest is also taken care of in 2027. Because some of them who are in power, that's why you see it has reached a point where people are speaking like venom, pouring venom, you know, to the masses. And you wonder sometimes, where's the wisdom?
Yes.
You know? Yeah, you hear some utterances and you wonder whether this person has got children.
Like, did you just say that?
Yeah, did you just say that, you know? Yes. And you wonder whether this is happening in Kenya. And when you see such, is like what we experienced in 2006 towards elections of 2007. There was a lot of venom that was poured.
Yeah, I remember with the sadness.
Uncontrollably. And I remember there was a time even the government itself could not arrest any of them because of the uproar that would actually be sparked as a result. So the government was very careful that they don't, touch that area.
The wrong person.
Yes. So I'm just hoping that the same drums are not the ones I'm hearing. Because when you hear this isolation of a community, because when they were talking about Rigathi Gachagua being tribal, tribal for which tribe? Let's be specific. The Kikuyus, the Merus, the Mount Kenya. Okay? So when you're trying to isolate them, is like what they said, Kabila Moja, in the same guys.
Yes.
Actually, they were the same team. The president plus ODM, they were the same thing.
Yes.
They said one community. Now they're trying to label him as tribal, yet they themselves are saying this in their tribal cocoons. And I keep asking, and I remember firing a question to the former prime minister at KICC when he was launching his first strategic plan of the office of the prime minister. I asked him, what are you fighting against? Is it tribe or language? He did not respond. Because it was overshadowed by a question by a BBC lady who asked him about what plans he has with the now Kibaki government to compensate those who suffered and were maimed, who were killed, and all the kind of things that took place in 2007. But the same question lingers. People are fighting against a language.
Yes.
Ukiongea Kikuyu, wewe ni mkabila. But you see, if you go to the correct definition of what we call Kabila, it is a combination of many things. There's language, there's faith, there's tradition, there's culture, there are all these things. That is what formulates what we call a tribe. So the direction that Kenyans take when they are addressing the issue of tribalism is all wrong. But it's as a result of the propaganda that is being peddled by people who understand. what it is, but they decide to twist it.
So what are Kenyans supposed to do? Because I'm seeing we almost have just 3 minutes. What are Kenyans supposed to do? We at a time when the rights of the human rights are being violated against. The promises, well, some of them have been fulfilled, some have not been fulfilled. We are right now in a top gear campaigning, both the Rigiji side and the president side. It's campaign full throttle.
Campaigns begin the first day you're sworn in.
Yes.
That's the reality of politics. The moment you're sworn in, you begin to build a record that you shall use in campaigning for the next re-election, the next elections for re-election.
Yes.
So you begin putting that record, and every other time you keep reminding them, we had done this, we will do this. We have already completed this, we will do this campaign.
Yes.
And the other side is trying to show you how they will do better, given a chance. They start immediately, they lose. And that's where campaign begins. Campaign begins that time. Let's not lie to ourselves.
Yes.
And there are no people called politicians.
Yes.
There are no politicians without the masses. There is no football without the spectators.
Yes.
That match is not a match, an entertaining match, without all those people in the game and the referees, which is the IBC. Now, if we don't have, we have the IBC in place, we have the people, all of them are playing politics, because the same politicians, both the goody two-shoes of the government are speaking to people.
Yes.
And the bad guys of the opposition are speaking to
people.
Kenyans at the same time. So who's fooling who?
And
They are all politicking. What's going to happen is that in come 2027,
yes.
If the government side does not really cautiously listen to what the people are talking right down there, they might face it rough. Not that there will be any war, but they might lose their positions.
Because they seem to be detached.
They'll be voted out, and it will be so hard if they continue to allow people to have this rage against the government, to convince them otherwise that we are doing something. It shall be a Herculean task, and it shall be a miracle.
Yes.
So I think it's time right now that maybe Kenyans can listen. It's time that they do that retreat I was talking about, and ask themselves.
Go retreat and talk about what?
Talk about where. Blame yourselves. Where did we miss it? Because we seem to have lost it. Because if you listen to the ground, my friend, it's
Could
different.
the presidency be the biggest problem in this country, in this sense? When we gave ourselves the 2010 Constitution, the thing we were seeking to cure was an all-powerful presidency. And we the people decided that we were going to delegate the powers of the presidents to 47 small presidents so that they can govern regions, so that the presidency is not a powerful office where he decides, he has the power to decide who gets development or not. Because I think that was the biggest problem we had in the last constitution with the previous one, because the president could decide where development goes. Right now, the country is still behaving as though we are still in the old constitution, because when the president goes to a region, people are saying, oh, do this development for us, do this, do this. Didn't we move from this?
When you lose your powers, or when you relinquish your powers and rights to somebody, that person will use them. And if he takes it a notch higher, misuse them. Because we are the ones who have made them look like demagogues.
Yes.
Because we are the ones who are supposed to exercise our rights as per the Constitution. Chapter 1 says that we are the owners of the sovereign power. And any other person, including the president, the chief justice, and the legislature, are working under what we call delegated sovereign power.
And are coming from us.
Coming from us. So who has the say is the person, the citizen. Now, when the citizen forgets that they have these powers, that's the time the leadership, the representatives, begin to take charge. It's just the same way. You are a shareholder in a company, and you guys are the shareholders. Then you appoint a few guys to represent you as directors.
Yes.
Then the directors make decisions without consulting you. So during AGM, you discover there were projects that were begun, completed, and your money is not anywhere, and you'll only realize when you have no dividends. This is what is happening to Kenyans. They have no dividends, you know, and that's why they are crying. So when we had that previous constitution, everybody complained, oh, Moi has become dictatorial using that kind of constitution. Then Kibaki came. Same laws, same powers. He didn't misuse them. No. Within the same powers, Kenyans experienced the freedom of at the highest level. You know, talk to us, the small guys who are out there. We always had to have money to bribe the police, to bribe the kanjos, and any other thing that you do, you had to be very, very careful because they're guys who used to say and carry the day, the police. You know, what I'm trying to say is that there came a time when citizens were the ones who were arresting the police. You know, that's the kind of freedom. We don't want this kind of corruption. But anywhere that is labeled corrupt-free zone in Nairobi, Kenya,
that's where
is the most corrupt. That is the den of corruption. And that is what's happening. So what I'm trying to say is, if we can have a change of our mindset and adapt correct ethics and morals and exercise them, that change of an attitude, both from the guys who have been mandated to do something for us and those of us who have mandated them to do it, if we understand our position, then we will be doing the right thing. It's just the same thing I told you about the church, that if the church would position itself in connection with heaven, no church leader will be running to State House. It is State House that will be running to the church.
So we've forgotten who we are.
We must strengthen our cords with heaven, where we represent, so that they can know that if they want to understand their tomorrow, it must be from them because their God speaks. But today, what are we doing? If I have the cover of the president or State House or a minister or a CS or something, then we're good. I think it's time Kenyans rise to the occasion. And you have the power. The power is in your hands, the vote and your voice. You have a freedom, we have a freedom of expression. Much as it will be muzzled, it becomes louder. If I was to advise them in the retreat, is please don't put the muzzle.
True.
Feed it. It will get busy. The mouth will be busy. No biting. And that's what would happen with Kenyans. So I think there's work to do, both from Kenyans, the ones who own the sovereign rights, sovereign power, and the ones who've been delegated the sovereign powers to also be humble and serve these people with delight and respect. That's all I'm asking Kenyans to do.
True. And you know, most of the leaders who serve the people, and the people can clearly see that this guy has served us.
Absolutely.
They normally don't have problems coming back.
Sure.
If you work, you do what you're supposed to do, you have no problem coming back. But
win the trust.
Yes, you win the trust of the people. So it is our country. This is the only country we have, and we want to bequeath our children's children with a country that is well taken care of. We've not done so so far. We've messed up our country with our politics. Our politics is horrible politics. So we need to change that. Now remember today at around 11:30 we'll have Gatuzi, which will be looking at some of the things happening in the counties. And then at 2 p.m. the scoreboard, where we have the Emmanuel, Mike of this world, talking about sports. I've seen Omanyala performed very well. I'll be looking forward to see how much money he got. Because I realized that running, it's only that now I cannot run as fast as I used to. If I had known, mungekuwa mnaongea story ya Fred. Ni bio. Unajua unakimbia ni kama wewe ni mwizi unafukuzwa na mob justice. You're running for your life but uko pale. Kaching kanaingia. But anyway, hiyo ndio maisha. So they'll be talking about some things that have happened. So stick around, we got some great programs that are coming up.